Welcome to Thriver's Ed, the podcast that's all about giving you the practical, no-nonsense advice you need to level up your life and business. I'm your host, Marcy Rossi, success coach, business strategist, and alcohol-free enthusiast. If you're ready to crush your goals, optimize your productivity, and live your best, most authentic life, then you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into topics like the psychology of success, practical strategies to boost your performance, and the unexpected ways living alcohol-free can elevate your life. Whether you're looking to boost your business, improve your health, or simply become a better version of yourself, Thriver's Ed is here to help you do just that. So grab your iced coffee, buckle up, and let's get thriving. Hey there, welcome back to the podcast. Today we are talking about trust, and really the goal here is to turn those curious leads into confident coaching clients by looking at your business through your potential clients' eyes. Now, as coaches, we already know that trust matters once someone becomes a client, but what we're digging into today is the stage before that. So when someone is quietly deciding whether or not they should actually take a risk on you. And just to clarify, the goal here is not to try to turn you into some bro marketer and trick people into saying yes. It's really just about helping you see your business the way your potential clients do, the way they're experiencing it, so that you can make some small changes to make it easier for people to say yes. So let's get to it. We'll start with the problem. You have a coaching offer, you talk about it with your network, you post about it on social media, maybe you have a sales page for it, and people maybe tell you that it's great, but you hear nothing, right? Or maybe you get people that'll say, okay, I need to think about it, or I'll get back to you, and that conversation just ends up dying there. Now, a lot of times people think that there's something wrong with them, right? That they're bad at selling, that they're bad at marketing, their price is too high, the person didn't like them, etc., etc. But in a lot of these cases, it's not actually about you or your ability to deliver a great experience at all. It's really more the environment that your buyers are making decisions in. Right now, more people than ever have been burned by courses, coaches, programs, all these offers where people wildly overpromise the moon and then severely underdelivered. And with the economy being what it is right now, consumer spending is unpredictable, wallets are getting tighter, and so it takes a little bit more for people to say yes. So when someone is thinking about working with you, they're not just asking if they like you, but they are evaluating this from a risk perspective. They're wondering whether this will be worth the risk or if they're going to end up regretting it later. And you can be a phenomenal coach and have an absolutely incredible offer and still unintentionally set up a buying process that feels risky. Now, the good news here is that there are some small fixes we're going to talk about today that can lead to more confident yeses without having to change your whole business model or what it is that you're doing. So I want to jump into your potential client's nervous system here for a minute, because we were talking about how it's really the environment. And so I want to look at what is going on in their heads. Now, to state the obvious, coaching is not a pair of shoes, right? It is not something that they can feel and put on and wear around and, see if it's going to pinch their toes and all these sorts of things. It's intangible. So they cannot see the result before they buy. They cannot feel the result before they buy or the actual experience before they buy. It's also deeply personal, right? They're going to end up talking about their career, the relationships, money, health, innermost thoughts and beliefs, maybe things that they never actually say to anybody else in their life. And they're having to project into the future. They're having to say, if I say yes to this, is it actually going to work for me? Can this person really help me? Is this going to be a good use of my money and time, or am I going to regret it? So that decision to hire you, again, is not just, oh, the price is too high or, oh, I didn't like her. It's really a balancing act. It's a risk calculation. So when we think about it like this, it makes a little more sense that sometimes people are going to hesitate. It's not that they're flaky or they don't like you, but their brain, especially the amygdala in their brain, which is what lights up when there's uncertainty around us, it's just trying to keep them from making a costly mistake. So our job is to design the experience of working with us so that saying yes feels like a thoughtful, grounded, and rational decision, not like they're just jumping off a cliff and hoping for the best. Now, you might have heard people mention that we're in a trust recession, and I do think that that is real. Again, people have been disappointed before. They've bought programs, masterminds, coaches, whatever, and got nothing from it, or were severely disappointed. So they've learned to protect themselves by being more cautious about saying yes. It's going to take them a little bit longer to whip out their wallets this time because they're just not absolutely certain that this is going to be something that's going to serve them. So what are they doing then? Well, maybe they're going to Google you a bit more, check your LinkedIn or your social media profiles, click around on your website if you have one. They'll read your posts, your articles. They are evaluating you. They're digging for more information. And they're asking themselves a few questions. First up, credibility. So, do you sound like you know what you're doing with people like them? And can you really deliver on the promises that you're making? Next is your consistency and your professionalism. Do the different touch points of your business tell the same story, or does everything feel a little unprofessional and chaotic? And then finally is humanity, right? Do you sound like a real person who's going to treat them with respect? Or does this feel like another internet scheme? Or does it feel like they're literally just chatting with AI? If they've been burned before, if they ended up spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on a package and were like, well, that was kind of a waste of money, then their radar is going to be even more sensitive around these things. And that's why simply creating an offer and putting it out there just isn't enough. A random stream of social posts isn't going to automatically make someone trust you. What actually matters is your touch points. And when I say touch points, I mean anytime they bump up against you, like they come in contact with you and or your business. And all of those touch points have to have the same message. It is safe to say yes to me. And it's a good idea to say yes to me. It's not just safe, it's something that they want to do. They want to say yes. So when someone encounters a touch point, right? Maybe they land on your profile, they read your email, they look around your website. There are a bunch of questions going on in their heads. So first is, do you actually understand and serve people like me, people in my role, in my context, with my kinds of problems? Do you have a clear way of working with clients? Or is this going to be some like fuzzy, ambiguous, like vague engagement the whole time? Up next is, have real humans worked with you and gotten something meaningful out of it? And then finally, if I'm personal and vulnerable in this space, am I going to feel respected and safe? And if any of those are, I'm not sure, the answer might as well be no from them. Now, I will say that last one is not usually a problem. If they don't feel like you're going to be respectful towards them, they're not going to do any additional digging at that point. But it is a question that they do have, which is why I bring it up. But that is why, essentially, that you can have people that genuinely admire you. They love your perspectives. They love every single thing that you put out there, and they still never hire you. Again, they admire you, they really like who you are, but they don't trust that decision piece yet. And so it is our job to make the answers to all of those questions, even the last one, really obvious. Yes, I do understand and help people just like you. Yes, I have a clear, repeatable process that leads to results. Yes, real people have gotten value here. And then, of course, yes, this will be a respectful, collaborative relationship, and I do value you. Okay, so how do we actually do that? That is through our touch points. Now, a lot of coaches put a lot of pressure on themselves at the sales or the discovery call phase, thinking if they were just better at these steps, they'd sign more clients. But honestly, for most buyers, that decision is already really heavily influenced way before they ever talk to you. And it's these moments that I'm referring to when I call touch points. These are those influential moments that are starting to make those decisions for them. Now, again, a touch point is anytime a potential client comes up against you and your business. It's that touching thing, right? It may not be directly with you. It may not be a conversation. It could be, they get a referral email or someone tells them about you. They find your social media profile or your website. They see a bio about you somewhere on the internet. Maybe they're on your email list and they get newsletters from you. Maybe they attend a talk or a workshop that you give. Or maybe you do actually have an actual conversation, whether that's a discovery call, an in-person chat, etc. Now, at each of these things, they're gathering clues about whether it feels safe to take the next step with you. And at each of these touch points, they are thinking about three things, subconsciously at least: how it looks, how it works, and how it feels. So I'm going to break that down. So first up, how it looks. This is a surface level impression. So for an email, that could be, is it readable and well formatted, or is it just like a huge block of text? For your website, it could be, is the layout clear, or does it feel cluttered or outdated or really janky looking? And in person, that could be your slides, your materials, or even your body language. Next is how it works. This is the customer experience. So, can they easily find your contact info or a link to book a call with you? Does that link actually work? And does it send out confirmation and reminder emails? In a live setting, does your workshop or the call that you're having with them flow logically, or do they feel lost? And then finally, the emotional tone. This is how it feels for them. Do they feel respected and taken seriously, or brushed off, or taken for granted? Do your emails feel clear and grounded, or are they just like vague ramblings? On calls with people, does it feel like you're having a real conversation with a real human being, or like you're just reading a script to them? Now, I don't want you to over every single touch point that could possibly be happening, but just keep this looks, works, feels framework in your mind, because as we start to look at the trust leaks, you're going to see some opportunities where those come up. Now, speaking of the trust leaks, I've got 4 big trust leaks that I see often. The first one is overpromising and or vague claims. So those big sweeping promises like transform your life, unlock your potential, be your best self. Yeah, sure, those are inspiring, but they don't really paint a picture of what exactly it is that they are buying. And remember, when we don't communicate clearly, when there's uncertainty present, people feel the risk there. So the more concrete we can be, the better we have of actually helping them understand what it is that they're getting. Number 2 is neglecting the relationship. So maybe someone meets you once, maybe you guys have a call, maybe you even send them a proposal, and then silence, right? There's no follow-up, there's no consistent way that they can hear from you again. And a lot of times people treat this, they didn't sign up immediately, as a no, but usually it's a not yet. A no is a no, a silence is not yet. Okay, number 3 is hobby vibes instead of a professional presence. This is when your business, and you can't see me, but I'm using air quotes, feels more like a side hustle, right? So this could be things like using a playful personal email handle or social media handle for your client or business. This could be asking for money through Venmo requests instead of a simple invoice or checkout process. Having an inconsistent or really outdated online presence, or no online presence for that matter. Not having a clear contract and communication boundaries, chaotic onboarding where every client is going to get a completely different experience, or even just like a mildly different experience can still take away from that professionalism vibes. So real quick here, I know a lot of people don't love to think of themselves as business owners. They kind of just want it to work and do the thing they got in business to do in the first place. And honestly, I want to say that treating your coaching like a real business is one of the most generous things you can do, because it creates a solid, trustworthy container for this work and allows it to be a sustainable endeavor so that you have more opportunities to help more people. Finally, weak or non-existent social proof. So either there are no testimonials or practically no testimonials, or what there is vague, just like, oh, she's amazing, instead of here's what actually changed for me. Now, again, the good news is that each one of these are fixable with some small changes. So let's talk about what those changes should be. So if the first trust leak is overpromising and vague language, we want clear, grounded language. Remember, coaching is not shoes, right? It's intangible. And so when we put vague language on top of that, we make it even harder for someone to say yes. Again, things like unlock your potential or be your best self. A better approach here is specificity. So not in the sense of requiring you to guarantee an outcome that you can't actually control, but simply being really crystal clear about who you help, what you help them with, and what working together looks like for you guys. So instead of something like, I help business executives unlock their potential, you might say something like, I work with senior leaders navigating organizational change so that they can make clearer decisions and lead with more confidence. Now, what you're doing, who you're actually helping, hasn't changed at all, but now they have a clear picture of the impact that you could have on their life. And just a note here, when I'm talking about specificity, I don't mean listing out the features. I do think it's important that we list out the features, meaning what your offer actually includes, all the little pieces that it actually includes, but nobody is actually buying 6 coaching calls. What they're buying is a shift, a tangible shift in their life or their experience, right? They want to feel less burned out. They want to handle conflict in their relationship better. They want to quit drinking. Whatever that thing is, your job is to paint a picture of what's possible, even if you can't guarantee a very specific result for every single person. Number 2, neglecting the relationship. So when we're assuming that it's a no simply because someone doesn't respond, there's other things that could be going on, right? They could just be busy. They could still be thinking about it. They could need more touch points to get to know you better. They might be waiting for the right window. Like maybe just the time isn't right for them or their budget is just not right there yet. And let's be honest, most people need more than just 1 or 2 touch points before they're comfortable taking such a leap. Like if we think about this in the dating terms, imagine you went on one date with someone and they immediately asked you to move in. Like you'd probably be like, no, I don't even know you. But that's what we do when we have just 1 or 2 touch points and then expect someone to commit to a high investment package. Now, I want to be clear here. It is absolutely okay to make an offer early after that first or second touch point if it seems like a good fit for both of you. You know, some people are those love at first sight type clients, but not everybody is, right? Most people end up dating more than once or twice before they get married. So when we don't get that instant yes, we start to break down that trust when we don't have a plan to keep nurturing those people who like us but maybe aren't ready to move in yet. We start treating that silence like a no instead of finding other ways we might be able to help move them along, and we just simply stop showing up. So again, remember that silence means not yet. It does not mean never. They will tell you if it's never, but usually they don't. Usually they just need more. And I can see this in my own business. I've had calls with people and I can see that they're still hanging on, reading every single email I send, and they're waiting for the right time or when it finally feels right for them. Now, how can we nurture this? How do I support building trust in my own business? Well, it means being willing to nurture the relationship. For those people that need more time, adding more opportunities for touch points so they can get to know us better. You know, having a simple, consistent way for them to keep hearing from you. You know, your email list, your social media posts, maybe you just email them directly and just check in. And of course, letting them regularly get to see you, right? If the trust is built on the relationship, we need to have a solid foundation for that relationship. So share your voice, your face, your actual perspective, not just copy from AI. We're not trying to pressure anybody, but we're trying to support them in making the right decision. And oftentimes it is simply a matter of just not being comfortable enough yet to make that decision, right? They just need a little bit more from you. They just need to strengthen that relationship first. That is, again, part of treating this like a real business. We are building these relationships over time so that when someone is ready, you're still on their radar and they've already grown to trust you at this point. Number 3 is those hobby vibes versus a real business, a professional presence. Now I realize that not everybody wakes up in the morning thinking, how can I build an online empire, right? They just want to help people or build something sustainable. I get it. But your clients are taking a real risk with their time, their money, and their energy. So they want to have a business that they can trust, like a real business. So what might be holding them back? Again, hobby vibes, things like using a cutesy personal email address, relying on back and forth emails instead of having a clear booking link for them to book a call with you. Having online presence that contradicts each other. Maybe your social media says one thing, your website says something else, and you're talking about offers you don't even have anymore. Maybe you don't have a real contract, or you have a contract that you actually never read. You just copied it from somewhere and you're using it. You have inconsistent onboarding, so everybody's getting something a little bit different. And none of this means you're not a good coach, but it gives a signal that your business might not be very solid. When you have a professional email address, a simple online presence, it doesn't have to be a full-blown website, but somewhere people can find you, a clear way for them to pay you, and a straightforward contract that protects both of you, you're showing people that you take this seriously, and they should too. And then next up, we have social proof. So little or no meaningful social proof. So I want to think about how you shop on Amazon if you use Amazon. Would you buy a product that had no reviews? I'm guessing not, right? I definitely wouldn't. What I do is I immediately sort by top rated. I might even look through some of the reviews to see if people like me liked it, to see if they have any pictures of the thing. I want to make sure people are generally happy with it. And I'm also kind of curious things they didn't like, but that's a different story. But if something has absolutely no reviews, I'm going to find something else. And your clients are going to do the same thing. If they can't find any social proof on you, they're either going to think that this is the first time you've started, which, maybe it is, or they're going to wonder if this thing actually works. If they do see reviews, but they're all very generic and vague, like, oh, Marcy's amazing, they don't actually know what you're amazing at. So we want meaningful proof here, right? So things that are specific stories that highlight a shift that's relevant to their world. So instead of Susie is amazing, we might hope to see something a little bit more specific, like Susie helped me step into a new role without burning out myself or my team. I went from being completely reactive to everything to having a clear plan for my first 90 days. Now, that second example gives them the context, the initial problem, and then what changed or what that outcome was. So that way, the person reading it can actually see a clear picture. So it's not like you need a million of these. If you have a million, then absolutely more power to you. Like, tell people what people think, but you need to have some specific, relevant stories that can help someone see that people have trusted you and you were actually able to deliver on that promise. I want to talk about risk reduction because this is actually a huge trust builder, especially if you don't have that social proof. So remember, people are not just wondering if they like you, they're also like worrying like maybe you guys won't mesh together. Maybe this won't actually be what you're thinking it's going to be. Maybe they're going to spend all this money and nothing's ever going to change. So when you're buying something online, imagine you're looking at Amazon. Maybe that thing has no reviews and maybe it also has no return policy, right? If that's the case, you're probably not buying it. I recently bought sleeves for my dog. Like her elbows are getting a little bit sore, so we bought these sleeves. And it looked like she was kind of between two sizes, and I wasn't sure what the material would be like, or if it would drive her absolutely crazy, or if they were even going to fit. So I ended up buying two sizes, which I never would have done, except that there were free returns. So I was able to try both, send one or more back. I just sent one. She actually tolerated the sleeves quite well. And Amazon made the sale. Without that return policy, they wouldn't have, right? So your clients are going to do that similar calculation with coaching. Especially early on, some form of risk reduction really helps. This could be something like a clear refund or cancellation window in the first like X number of days or X number of sessions. Maybe you do a try before you buy setup. So maybe the first call is free or lower cost before they have to commit to anything. Maybe you have just a small package, right? A one-off option, a monthly option instead of either a 6 or a 12-month container. It's not about giving everything away or like refunding every single person, but we want to share the risk a little bit, especially in those beginning stages of building our business, so that saying yes feels like a reasonable and reversible decision, not like a trap. Now, your last piece is actually your offers themselves. So a lot of times, again, if we're talking about that 1 or 2 dates and then getting married, there's missing steps in between. So I talk about building a trust ladder. So if we're looking at our trust ladder, the first step is curious. This is when they discover you. Maybe they've just heard about you or they started following you on social media. The next step is a small yes. And these are usually free or at least low pressure ways to experience you. Then we have a bigger yes, and these are paid ways to work with you. And then finally, a full engagement, which is like your long-term, deeper work. So curious, that's all about getting visible. I have lots of episodes on getting visible, but those small yeses. So small yeses could be things like grabbing a simple lead magnet or guide in exchange for their email address, or signing up for your newsletter, listening to you on a podcast, either your own podcast or someone else's, attending a free workshop or a webinar or a Q&A, booking a free call with you, etc. Right? They get to experience your voice and your thinking without actually making a commitment. And then we have bigger yeses. So this could be a paid workshop, a one-off session, a smaller coaching package, a mini course, a workbook, a book, a thing, something where they are investing with their time and their money, but not at such a level where the risk feels too unbearable. And you don't necessarily need every rung on the ladder. And some people are going to jump straight from curious to all in. But having steps in place, and the more steps, well, actually, that's not true. You don't need necessarily to have as many steps as possible, but we need to have some clear ways for people to move forward. It means that if they're not ready yet after that first or second date, they at least have somewhere to go where they're getting closer. You're also not only asking for a massive yes right out the gate, and you get to meet people where they are at their different comfort levels and say, look, I get that you're not ready, but I still want to support you, and here's what I have to offer. Okay, so for your Thrive in 5 today, I'm going to do things a little bit differently because this is going to be more of a choose your own adventure. I'm going to give you 5 ideas of ways that you can start to build more trust in your business, but I want you to just honestly pick one. Pick one, dive into it, and then add on more as you're going. So ideas that we have for you. Number 1 is clean up a touch point. So maybe that's your LinkedIn headline. Maybe it's the top of your website that explains who you are and what you do. Maybe it's even your email signature. Just make that statement crystal clear about who you help, what you help them with, and what that next step is. Number 2 is choose one way you're going to nurture relationships consistently. This could be a monthly or biweekly email, a simple email check-in with warm leads, posting regularly where your people are, just finding ways that you can make sure that you're staying top of mind, right? That you are on their radar if and when they're ready to take that next step. Number 3 is to add or upgrade a client story. So if you don't already have testimonials, it's time to start seeking those out. But if you have been working with individuals, I want you to take a situation where you've helped someone and turn it into like a mini case study that highlights what was going on, what changed, and what's better now. If you don't already have testimonials, then make sure the testimonial request form or the email or whatever it is that you're sending out is meant to elicit the kinds of responses that are actually going to serve you. Because remember, better questions get better answers. So we have an opportunity to phrase our testimonial requests to get the kind of answers that are going to be meaningful for other people. Number 4 is to pick a risk reducer. That could be a clear cancellation policy, a small package, a free first call, just some way to reduce some of that risk of what if I waste all this money, essentially. And the 5th one is to sketch out your trust ladder. So I want you to think about what you already have in place in terms of small yeses and bigger yeses. And if you're noticing a gap, like maybe you have a way for them to discover you and get curious, and then you have a 12-month container, start thinking about how you might be able to add in one rung for now and maybe brainstorm some things that you might want to add on in the future. Now, to make all this easy for you, I pulled together a Trust Builder prompt pack. So it's a short set of prompts that you can plug right into ChatGPT to help you look at your touch points through this trust lens we've been talking about, see where you're probably leaking trust right now, and to brainstorm some small fixes that fit you and your business. You can grab the link in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep thriving.